Hello, and welcome back to the Study Abroad Pod. It's Women's History Month, and today we're taking you to Viterbo, Italy. Long-standing resident director of the Viterbo program, Francesca Del Giudice sits down with Grace from the University of Maine to share some of the adventures stepping out of her comfort zone as a woman traveling solo abroad. From hiking up a mountain with a trombone to tasting Baci chocolate, it's a story of little steps empowering women to explore the world.
Hello, I am Grace. I studied abroad in Viterbo, Italy in the spring of 2025, and I am currently finishing my senior year at the University of Maine. I'm an anthropology major, and I also focus on video production. And today I am here with Francesca.
Hi, I'm Francesca. I'm the resident director for USAC in Viterbo, and I support students throughout their time here. I've been working with the program for 20 years, and I love seeing how students grow during their time in Viterbo. And thank you, grazie, for joining me today. Grace, what drew you to Viterbo?
So I was initially looking for a program somewhere around the Mediterranean region to kind of escape Maine's spring, because it's not very pleasant. And so I was talking with my abroad advisor, and they were saying they recommended Viterbo basically, and I looked into it, and there were a lot of classes that aligned with my interests in studying culture and photography, and I also just really love the Italian language. And so seeing that Viterbo was kind of a smaller city and not having the hustle and bustle of Rome or Florence or anything like that, it just kind of all fit together, and I'm very happy it did. I had a lovely experience there.
And what do you remember from your first days in Viterbo? The sights, smells, any foods?
Even just arriving in Rome, it was just like, whoa, like I'm actually here, and just walking down the streets and seeing all these amazing old buildings and structures, and rounding the corner just on a random street and being like, oh, there's the Colosseum at golden hour, and that's really quite crazy. Seeing all those things was amazing. And then arriving in Viterbo and being still pretty jet lagged and tired, and being welcomed right away into my host family. And then I think it was like the second night that we were there, there was the big bonfire for Sant'Antonio in Bagnaia. And so we went to that with my host parents, me and Zach, the other student that was living in my house with me, who had been there in the fall as well. So he was more used to the area, which was great. But we all went to this huge bonfire, and there was like live music and people milling all around and talking in Italian really fast, and like all the smells, all the food. And it was just very kind of surreal to me to be in that environment and really still not know what the heck was going on, but to just be experiencing this really interesting cultural moment with them.
So once you settle in, what surprised you most about Viterbo?
Honestly, I think how comfortable I felt there. Like I immediately felt comfortable in my space in the apartment with my host family, with the other students in my program. And so just being able to build off of that, and then I really enjoyed exploring the city. It's a smaller city, and in the medieval center, there's just all these small little streets that you can get lost in. And so going around in there and just enjoying how walkable the city was. Like one of the first nights we all went out to like a karaoke bar or something, and it was like a 10-minute walk away. And I think I called my dad, and he was like, oh, be careful walking around the streets at night. And I was like, no, it's fine. Really, I'm good. I'm alone, but it's okay. I just always felt super comfortable in the city, and it was just, it was a really great place to be for me, I think, especially not being used to a city. And so feeling like it was kind of had small town vibes in areas was really nice. I definitely had nerves traveling abroad as a solo young woman. I think a lot of it for me is just that I don't travel a lot at home. It's just not really affordable or possible in a lot of ways here. And so, being able to be in a new environment and kind of, not fully understanding the culture, but getting a sense for it. And like I was saying before, being comfortable in Viterbo was really great. I never felt uncomfortable as a woman there, and I would walk alone by myself all the time. Like they say, like, oh, Italian men will be so forward and will compliment you or whatever, talk to you from the bar. And it's like, I didn't have any problems with that. That was my experience. I never felt uncomfortable about it. And certainly there were a lot of times when I was like, oh, I could go up north for the weekend by myself because nobody else is available. And I would kind of hesitate to do that just because more than anything, it was more so that I was not used to traveling alone. And it's not that I thought that anything bad would happen, but yeah, I think certainly in the future, I'm even planning some solo trips right now. So I'm really looking forward to kind of exploring that side of travel, and I'm confident that things will work out in the way that they need to. I would say that, yeah, even though you're a woman, it doesn't mean that you have to change your whole life to avoid situations. You still have to live, and you can't hold back just because you're kind of afraid that something will happen. I know that's a valid response, but also at the same time, even if you're traveling alone to get to your program, you're going to meet so many other people that want to travel with you within your program, or if you go to a hostel and you meet people over there. That happened for me as well. And even I think in our program, it was like we had 30 students and like 22 or 23 of them were women. And so just being able to build that community with them was awesome, and to be able to travel as a group was really cool. And yeah, it just don't hold yourself back because you're afraid of situations like that.
Grace, what did your day-to-day life look like?
So most days I got up at like 8, which was nice. It's not as early as I would have to get up normally at home. I would have breakfast at my apartment with my host family. It was really nice because living with a host family, we did dinner 5 nights a week together, and then they would provide all the food for breakfast, and then lunch was on our own, but we would often have that together as well if we were all around. And so wake up, have there's usually a cornetti with Nutella, which is a croissant for those that do not know Italian. Yep, I had a few too many of those in my time over there maybe, but I do still love them. And then I would usually have class in the morning. It was often Italian class was first thing in the morning. I think that started around 9. And that was always really fun. I really liked Italian class, actually. Our teachers were super kind and understanding and encouraging. And the environment was kind of unlike any other class experience I've had. I am normally very quiet in class and don't often speak. And that was kind of completely the opposite here, which was really fun. It was a good kind of switch experience for me. And then typically I'd have like 1 or 2 classes a day. We didn't always have, there were often days when we just wouldn't have class, and that was always nice because you could go for a long walk or go to Rome or whatever, go somewhere. But yeah, I'd normally go home for lunch because my apartment was like literally a 3-minute walk away from campus, which was awesome because I could leave the door at 8:57 and not be late. And so have lunch at home. Usually Zach would be there as well, and we'd make a lunch together. And if my host parents were there, we'd eat with them as well. And I often had an afternoon class. I'd go back, and then after that, usually I'd be done around 3, and then that's a great time to explore the city and go for a walk, go for a hike up the mountain, get a coffee with friends, and just kind of hang out. And I really enjoyed those relaxed afternoons and mornings when I didn't have class, just kind of hanging out in the park, being at home within this unfamiliar space. Yeah, so Zach was my housemate who is from South Dakota. He's really awesome. We still keep in touch, but he was there for the whole year. So I came in the spring and he'd been there since September. So that was really great to have kind of somebody who knew the area and could be like, oh, that's a really good place for pizza. Or like, oh, that person really likes to talk and their dogs often come into the shop with them. So go say hi to, what are their names, Rosa and Bacon on Thursdays. Yeah, so it was really nice to have him around.
We usually arrange 2 or 3 field trips every semester.
I really enjoyed the field trip to Orvieto. I thought that was such a cool little city on a hill. And I think in general with these field trips too, it's great that we often would start off in a group, we'd kind of have a tour, and then we'd get set loose in the town to do whatever we want. For whatever reason, you often kind of get like into groups with people that you might not usually hang out with, which was really fun. Our group as a whole was very, we're all kind of friends with each other. So we had our own separate groups, but we'd mix a lot. We'd end up hanging out with people that you don't normally hang out with, which was always super fun. And just getting to explore these places that I never would have found that place without the field trip. I also remember at the chocolate factory, that was so much fun. I really enjoyed walking above the factory. We got to wave to all the workers down below. I was actually in New York City this past week, and we went to an Italian restaurant because I needed tiramisu, and it was not as good as it would be in Italy. But I saw a
Baci.
Yeah, a Baci in the store, and I was like, whoa, that's so crazy that I went to the birthplace of this thing.
You remember the guy there at the Baci factory? They mentioned that the production of the Baci chocolate is solely there at Perugia, the Perugina factory. And so the Baci that you get into the States have been produced here in Italy, in Perugia. So the place that you visited, this is like,
yeah,
awesome. The Baci, this chocolate is wrapped here and this wrap, and you get inside. I have here, I have lots of them. You get these, and you, Grace, want to explain what is that?
It's like a little note.
A little note,
kind of
yes.
like a fortune cookie.
It's a sentence that might be in English or in Italian or both. This says, in a gentle way, you can shake the world. It is a message from authors, novelists, famous or just unknown, always different. Yes. Oh, yes. They have a bunch of them. I have a bunch here because I ate lots of Baci.
I wish I had some. We went to the shop afterwards, and of course, everyone's like filling bags with chocolates, a bunch of different flavors. I had to shove mine way in the back of my desk drawer so that I didn't eat them all because I wanted to bring some home to my mom, and she appreciated that. So I was very good. I was very restrained with it, but it was difficult. One experience that stood out to me in the vein of kind of getting settled in daily life in a new environment was just kind of doing weird things that you would do at home, but you might not think of doing when you're abroad. And so my housemate, Zach, and I, who he's from South Dakota, he plays trombone. He's in like a marching band and all that really cool stuff. He was taking trombone lessons over here. And so he actually bought a trombone. It was either Timmy, Tammy, or Tommy, one of the three. He's got a bunch of trombones now. But anyways, we decided that we would hike the mountain that's kind of on the outskirts of Viterbo with his trombone and my camera and a tripod and do a little photo shoot for his like senior picture. And so we trekked all the way up there. It was like, I don't even know, 3 miles from our house to the top with his trombone. Took turns carrying the trombone. It was a warm day and just did a photo shoot at the top of this mountain, which was really just kind of a silly thing to do. But it was so much fun. And some more people started filtering up as we were up there. And so we're just kind of like standing by a cool tree and he's got his trombone out and I'm like, and he's playing it very, very quietly so as to not disrupt the people around us. And definitely we were getting a lot of weird looks because I think most of them were Italian, probably like, what, I have no idea what's going on here. But we got some really cool pictures out of the day and I know he really liked them and I had a lot of fun looking through them. Yeah, that was an experience that I look back on very fondly.
Bella, bellissima. And was there a moment with your host family where you felt fully immersed in their world?
I think honestly, just from the beginning, I mean, they've been hosting for, Matteo and Fabiana has been hosting for a very long time.
10 years this year.
10 years. Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. They have a lot of stories about previous students that have stayed with them, as always entertaining. But they're just really good at making us feel more at home. And I think especially with Zach being there and him kind of showing me how the house works when they're not around, and me being like, Zach, where do I put the plastic and the metals and the glass? Because recycling is different from here. That was really cool to have him there for that help. But yeah, I mentioned the bonfire that we went to, and just kind of them being able to, they really enjoyed talking with us about various different things and kind of comparing and contrasting Italian life to American life. And so it was always great to just sit down with them at lunch and have kind of an extended conversation about those sorts of things.
Nice. Nice.
There was also this one day that Matteo and Fabiana, who were my host parents, and Zach, we drove up to a neighboring town that has a big volcanic crater lake, and we rented a little motorboat and took that out for an hour or two, which was super fun. It was kind of like a windy, choppy day, and so there weren't really any other boats out, and so we were just zooming all around and kind of going wild, exploring the little areas within the lake. It was actually Zach's first time ever on a boat, which was just kind of a foreign concept to me, because in Maine we have bodies of water literally everywhere. But for him from South Dakota, it was a totally new experience. And so that was really neat to kind of be with him during that. It was so much fun. It was a very, very unique experience that I certainly would not have gotten if I had not been staying with a host family.
What cultural differences stood out to you the most, Grace?
I think what stood out to be the most about the culture was just how like social Italians are, in a way that I think it also has to do with being in a city that I'm entirely not used to because I live in a very small rural area. Just being able to like text your friend and be like, hey, do you want to go to the cafe? And so, yeah, just being able to kind of have that proximity to things in the area and also have the social whereabouts to be around people all the time, not all the time, but often, and just hang out with people kind of outside of the home, which is very different from here at home. We kind of invite people to our homes, which does also happen. We did have a dinner party with another host family, which was a lot of fun, but it's more often than not, you'll be going out to see your friends. And that was new for me, and it was something that I really enjoyed, and I've been definitely missing here because it's, yeah, just not so much of a thing around here.
I know for sure that Matteo is a perfect chef. He cooks very well. And students, when they get used to eat at Matteo and Fabiana's house, they stay there. They don't want to go out. They're very happy to live with them. Right, Grace?
Mm-hmm.
They also just feel they are the brothers or sisters, I would say, at home. So in a way, they complete their family, I think. How did your experience abroad connected to your studies?
So I was lucky that the courses I took in Viterbo kind of reflected and went with what I like to study and am studying. As an anthropology major, even just going abroad is helpful for that, for studying culture. And then I was able to take an Italian culture class and then also Italian cuisine and the Mediterranean diet, which was essentially an anthropology course, which was, he was just a wealth of information about anything you could possibly need to know about life and anything. And so that was a lot of fun to hear from him. And then I also got to take a documentary photography class, which relates to my minors. I'm a film and video and new media minor. And so I do a lot of work in video production, and a lot of my professional work has been around video production. being able to get that experience and kind of get more used to my camera while also using it as kind of a cultural way to document the city through my semester-long project. It was called Casual Magic, Finding Beauty in the Mundane. And that was a project that I still look back on and I'm very proud of. And I really enjoy the photos that I got from that. But using that kind of as a way to document my time abroad in kind of more of a cultural way was really fun. So my friend Canyon and I, who I met abroad, she's from Kentucky, so keep in touch with her. She's one of my closest friends. And we went to the Amalfi Coast for a weekend. And while we were there, we were like walking up the stairs out of Positano, and we met this local man. We just kind of passed him and started a conversation. And he was talking about kind of what it's like to live in such a beautiful place that sees a lot of visitors, especially in the summer, and kind of seeing through his perspective what it's like to live there and to deal with all of these tourists and kind of the impacts on him as a local. And I kind of took that and have turned it around and am now doing research on the impact of tourism on local Mainers, especially as it relates to the seafood industry. That's kind of my capstone research that I'm working on right now. So just having that kind of random encounter spurred this whole interest within me, and it's great that I'm able to kind of apply that back here.
Well, you see
Yeah.
how study abroad changes for good your life, and you're also academically, for sure.
I think for me, one of the biggest challenges was not kind of just getting sucked into like, oh yeah, I'm comfortable here. This is kind of just what my life is now. And remembering that I kind of need to take hold of the moment and go out there and keep doing things. Like, yeah, maybe I've had a long day and I just want to like sit in bed and watch Netflix. But at the same time, it's like, oh no, you're in Italy and you're leaving in a month. You should be going out, exploring, going to see your friends, and just kind of not getting sucked into being so comfortable. And I think that's not to say that you should never rest. I'm certainly not saying that, but just kind of remembering and being grateful for where you are at that time and knowing that this is not an opportunity that a ton of people get to have, and kind of taking that upon yourself and living that experience for yourself and for everyone else that's not able to do it.
And so, do you feel like your confidence or independence changed during that time or not?
I would say so. I'm definitely more comfortable making decisions for myself, like knowing that yes, I had a support system over there, but like at the end of the day, it's just me kind of figuring out how to navigate this new world. And then also just things like travel. Like I'm a way more confident traveler now. I did most of all of the planning for some trips that I took while I was over there. Definitely more confident in putting together an itinerary, but also just kind of going with the flow when it comes to it. Yeah, it was kind of a lesson in like taking hold of the moment, but also being able to go with whatever is being thrown at me. And it's kind of a fine line to walk, but I'm glad I navigated it the way that I did. Francesca, what has it been like for you to see students coming through the program over the years? Like what is that like for you?
It has been truly inspiring to see students come to this program over the years, especially watching them grow, gain confidence, develop a deeper understanding of Italy, Viterbo, and also their studies. It has been, and it is incredibly rewarding to me. I think that each student brings something unique, and it is always exciting to me to see how they navigate the challenges and the opportunities of the program. Also, to me, is also a privilege to support them during their journey, even in small ways.
You and Luisa were really good about checking in with everybody. Like, we saw you all the time and you were always asking how we were doing. You guys were a really awesome team. And I know we all felt really comfortable with you guys. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. How did you end up being the resident director in Viterbo? What drew you to this kind of work?
Long time ago, I would say 20 years ago, I was working in Ireland, in Dublin, and Ireland is beautiful, is a great place where to live, but at a certain point, I thought it was the right moment to come back to Italy, and I was looking for a position, and I applied to work with the USAC, because that moment, I think I felt was the right time to just start a different career with students, and again, seeing them growing academically and also as personally. This, I think, was one of the major goal that attracted me the most to applying for that position. And so that's it. So I started as just program coordinator, later as housing coordinator, then as interim resident director, and since 2017 as resident director. I like to come to work every day, and I feel that I can still learn from students, and I feel I can still give students a lot in the way that they can get adult, mature, go back home with a different perspective.
It must be cool also to see a new group of students every semester come in and get to experience your world through their eyes. That must be really neat.
And generation now are so different from 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So this is also a challenge for us. Get to know new generation. So these help us to keep young, young.
Mhm.
So we do not stop. We do not stop thinking and elaborating and trying to just know how to deal better with students every day. And Grace, looking back on your experience, is there something you wish you had known before you arrived?
I think just knowing that, like, it's going to be fine, you're going to be fine, would have been, obviously you can't know that before you go, but had I known that, I would have been so much more calm. And the lead up to it, it's always the lead up for me, the anticipation, that makes me really nervous. But then actually getting to Italy and meeting all of my students and meeting you and meeting the host family and just seeing, like, oh, it's going to be okay. You're going to be fine. You're going to have a great support system. You're going to have such an easy time making friends, which I think for a lot of people, even if you kind of have a harder time making friends at home and you're more introverted, going abroad, you're all going to be stuck in the same situation together. And it's just kind of like fast track friendships. Like, I met the people who I still talk to today on the very first day, and we just kind of knew that we were going to be friends. Just having that reassurance and speaking to all future students, like, I know it's scary. It's very scary to be leaving the environment that you're used to and the people that you're used to, and the culture that you're used to, but you will figure it out and you will kind of realize that you're at home within yourself and you can bring yourself to another place and still be home, and you can build a home in a new place as well. And so, yeah, just knowing that it'll be okay. Go into the experience with an open mind, and don't bother to bring all of the, like, weird feelings that you might have at home or like anything, and just come into it ready to have an experience and to make relationships with people, and you'll do just fine.
And Grace, if you had to describe your experience in Viterbo in one sentence, what would you say?
Life exists in many places. And I know for me, coming from just a tiny little corner of Maine, having not really traveled a whole bunch, and just for a lot of my life, kind of just being in a bubble, to really get out there and just be put into this new culture and just expected to live this life was really illuminating for me. And then to be able to travel outside of that and just meet all of these people, like even the students in my program, because we were from all across the country, like Maine to Alaska and literally everywhere in between. And just getting to see their perspectives and hear about their lives and kind of just get a better sense of like, because like you see cultures from across the world and you're like, oh yeah, obviously these people exist. But to meet them and to actually experience that for yourself and be like, oh yeah, everyone has their own life in other parts of the world and we're all just existing on this rock floating through space. Yeah, that's how I would sum up my experience, and it was very illuminating for me.
Thank you. Grazie, Grace. I think that you capture it perfectly. And thank you very much. Grazie mille for talking with me today. And it has been so lovely to reconnect with you this time again.
Thank you. It's very good to see you and to talk to you again.
Allora, Grace, ciao.
Ciao.
Ci vediamo a Viterbo. Torna presto.
I hope so. I'd love to come back. It was great to see you.
Ciao, a presto. Ciao.
Ciao.
Thank you for listening to the Study Abroad Pod, a podcast brought to you by the University Studies Abroad Consortium. Please listen, subscribe, and review us on Buzzsprout or wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow USAC on all your favorite social media channels at Study Abroad USAC. And if you have an idea for a future episode or want to learn more about study abroad, you can email us at studyabroad@usac.edu.